Today we're covering the top herbs you can plant in August, with expert advice for each. First, let's talk about basil. Its scent is the very essence of a sun-drenched Mediterranean summer, and planting it now allows you to capture that warmth for just a little longer. For an August sowing, you'll want to be in USDA zones 8 through 11, where the warmth will persist long enough for the plants to establish. If you're in a cooler zone, say 5 to 7, don't despair. Simply use a container that you can bring indoors or into a greenhouse when the first hint of frost threatens. Basil demands a rich, well-draining soil, something with plenty of organic matter. I find that amending my beds with a good quality compost, like one from Coast of Maine or Espoma, gives the seedlings the nourishment they need for vigorous growth. It's about creating a welcoming home for the roots. When you sow your seeds, perhaps from a trusted source like Botanical Interests or High Mowing Organic Seeds, give them space. Don't crowd them. You want air to circulate freely to prevent any fungal issues. The harvest window is a joy. You can begin snipping leaves as soon as the plant has a few sets of true leaves, usually within 6 to 8 weeks. Pinching the tips encourages a bushier plant and delays flowering, which can turn the leaves bitter. Basil is a true annual. It completes its life cycle in one season and will not survive a frost. So, enjoy its fleeting, intense flavor while you can. It's a poignant reminder to savor the moment. Now for cilantro, an herb that often causes gardeners a bit of trouble in the heat of midsummer. It has a tendency to bolt, or go to seed, the moment the temperature soars. This is precisely why August is the perfect time to sow it. As the days grow shorter and the intense heat begins to wane, cilantro thrives. For an autumn harvest, gardeners in zones 3 through 11 can confidently sow seeds now. It prefers a light, well-draining soil with a neutral pH. You don't need overly rich soil for cilantro. In fact, too much nitrogen can produce lush leaves with a less intense flavor. A simple, all-purpose organic garden soil, perhaps from Fox Farm, is perfectly adequate. When it comes to seeds, Johnny's Selected Seeds offers varieties that are specifically bred to be slow bolting, which is a tremendous help. Sow the seeds directly into the garden bed where they are to grow, as cilantro dislikes having its roots disturbed. You can begin harvesting the outer leaves in as little as 4 to 6 weeks, always leaving the central growing point intact to produce more. Cilantro is an annual, and while the plant itself will die with the first hard frost, the seeds it produces, which we know as coriander, can sometimes self-sow and surprise you with new plants the following spring. It's a plant that gives twice over. Dill is another herb that appreciates the moderating temperatures of late summer and early autumn. Its feathery, delicate foliage adds a wonderful texture to the garden, quite apart from its culinary uses. Planting in August works splendidly in a very wide range of climates, from Zone 2 all the way through 11. It's remarkably adaptable. Dill isn't particularly fussy about its soil, but it does best in a well-drained, slightly acidic loam. It has a long taproot, so ensure the soil is worked deeply to allow it to stretch out. I like to add a bit of well-rotted manure or compost from a brand like Dr. Earth to give it a gentle, slow-release source of nutrients without overwhelming it. For seeds, Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds offers some lovely varieties like bouquet or fernleaf. You can begin harvesting the leaves or fronds as soon as the plant is a reasonable size, perhaps 6 to 8 inches tall. The flavor is best before the plant begins to flower. However, don't be too quick to cut it all down. The flowers are beautiful and attract beneficial insects, and the seeds are, of course, a wonderful spice in their own right. Dill is technically an annual, though like cilantro, it is a prodigious self-sower. If you let a few plants go to seed, you'll likely be rewarded with a new crop next year without any effort at all. It's the garden's way of planning ahead. You know, parsley is often relegated to a mere garnish, which is a great shame as its fresh green flavor is incredibly versatile. August is an ideal time to start a new crop for autumn and even winter use, especially for those in zones 5 through 9. In warmer climates, it will grow right through the winter, and in cooler ones, a bit of protection like a cold frame or cloche can keep it going for months. Parsley thrives in rich, moist, but well-drained soil. It really benefits from a good helping of compost worked into the bed before planting. Think of brands like Black Cow composted manure. It provides that deep, consistent richness that parsley loves. Germination can be notoriously slow, so, be patient. Soaking the seeds from a reliable supplier like True Seed overnight in warm water can help speed things along. There are two main types, the flat leaf or Italian, which I prefer for its robust flavor, and the curly leaf. You can start harvesting the outer stalks once the plant is established, which encourages new growth from the center. Parsley is a biennial, meaning it has a 2-year life cycle. In its first year, it produces lush leaves. In the second, it will send up a flower stalk and go to seed, and the leaf flavor will diminish. So for the best culinary results, it's best to plant a fresh crop each year. Chives. No herb garden feels quite complete without them. Their gentle, oniony flavor is a delight, and they are wonderfully easy to grow. August is an excellent time to sow seeds or divide existing clumps, particularly in zones 3 through 10. They are incredibly hardy and forgiving. Chives prefer full sun and well-drained soil that's been enriched with plenty of organic matter. A top dressing of compost or a balanced organic fertilizer, such as Job's Organics All-Purpose, will keep them happy and productive for years. Unlike many of the herbs we've discussed, chives are a true perennial, a reliable friend that returns each spring. You can sow seeds directly into the garden now for a harvest next year. Or, if you have an established clump, August is a good time to lift and divide it. This reinvigorates the plant and gives you new plants for free. Simply dig up the clump, gently pull it apart into smaller sections, and replant them. You can harvest chives throughout the season by snipping the leaves about an inch from the base. They will regrow quickly. And do let some of them flower. The purple pom-poms are not only beautiful but also edible, perfect for adding a splash of color and a mild onion flavor to salads. Chives are a long-term investment in your garden's future. Oregano is another of those quintessential Mediterranean herbs that brings a robust, peppery warmth to so many dishes. It's a tough, resilient plant, and establishing it in August in zones 5 through 10 gives it plenty of time to get its roots down before winter. In fact, in many of those zones, it will remain evergreen or semi-evergreen. Oregano is not demanding. It positively thrives in average, well-drained, and even slightly poor soil. Too much fertilizer and water will only dilute its flavor. It wants sun and lots of it. A light mulch of gravel or grit can help with drainage and reflect heat back onto the plant, which it will appreciate. You can start oregano from seed, but it's often easier to begin with a small plant from a nursery or a cutting from a friend. If using seeds, look for Greek oregano from a supplier like Territorial Seed Company for that classic pungent flavor. Once established, you can harvest the leaves as needed. The flavor is most intense just before the plant flowers in midsummer, but a late-season crop will still be wonderfully aromatic. Oregano is a hardy perennial. It will die back to the ground in colder climates, but will return with vigor in the spring. A light trim in early spring will encourage fresh, bushy growth. It's a plant that asks for very little and gives a great deal in return. Finally, we come to thyme. Whether it's the classic English thyme for cooking or a creeping variety to plant between paving stones, its fragrance is simply wonderful. Planting in August is perfect for zones 5 through 9, allowing this woody perennial to establish a strong root system before the ground freezes. Like oregano, thyme is a Mediterranean native that craves full sun and exceptionally well-drained soil. It detests having wet feet, so if you have heavy clay soil, it's best to grow it in a pot or a raised bed where you can control the drainage. Amending the soil with horticultural sand or fine grit is essential. I find that a mix like Bonsai Jack's Gritty Mix, though unconventional, creates the perfect environment. Thyme is best started from small plants or cuttings, as seeds can be slow and variable. Once your thyme is established, you can harvest sprigs at any time, but regular trimming is key. It prevents the plant from becoming woody and leggy, encouraging tender new growth. The flavor is timeless and versatile, a staple in any kitchen. Thyme is a steadfast perennial. In colder zones, it will appreciate a protective mulch of straw or evergreen boughs after the ground freezes to help it through the winter. Come spring, you'll be rewarded with its return, a fragrant and faithful presence in the garden year after year. And there you have it, 7 wonderful herbs that you can plant this August to extend your harvest and keep the fresh flavors of the garden on your table well into autumn and beyond. There is a profound sense of accomplishment in working with the seasons, not against them. Planting now, when others are winding down, is a quiet act of optimism. It's a promise you make to yourself for future meals, for moments of fragrance and flavor that will brighten the cooler, shorter days to come. These herbs are more than just plants. They are a connection to the earth and a continuation of the cycle of growth and harvest. The garden is always teaching us, always offering new opportunities if we are willing to look. By understanding the needs of each of these plants, the right soil, the right time, the right care, you are participating in a conversation with nature that is deeply rewarding. I hope this guide has given you the confidence and the inspiration to get your hands back in the soil during this beautiful late summer period. The effort you put in now will be returned to you tenfold in flavor, fragrance, and the simple joy of watching things grow. Thank you for joining me in the garden today. If you found this guide helpful and wish to continue learning and growing together, please do consider subscribing to the channel. We have so much more to explore in the coming seasons. Until next time, happy gardening!